Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hang on just a second. I got a couple things open. You might have heard the rolling sound for just a second there. As always, I'm running around. I've had a lot of stuff going on today. Lots of time on the phone, which sometimes is like the worst part of my day is dealing with the phone. Just one second here. I got some notes I wrote down, which I usually don't. Oh, I got a whole bunch of notes for today's show. That's all of them right there. But anyway, hopefully everybody is doing well. I saw something as I was just moving around. I don't remember who it was. We'll call out some names and the whole works in just a minute here. Marty's asking on a decanter. I use Native American for everything like that, literally. You can get away with Native American Indian sometimes, but some people may still have a problem with that. My wife is part Choctaw, so, I can say from family who actually is, Native American, that's what most prefer. Or tribe. You'll hear tribe sometimes, or the tribe of, or the nation of, many prefer over that. So if you're like referring to the nation of the Choctaws or whatever the case may be. Hopefully everybody can hear me. It looks like everything should be on and situated correctly. Just a second here. I literally got on at the very last second. Let's see. Joe, crazy glitch today on eBay. You could not list today and make the shipping USPS first class. I didn't have anything like that today, but again, it could be regional or whatever servers someone's coming off of. I've seen all kinds of weird stuff. The other day, every time I tried to click on one listing, it was one of mine, it kept coming up, we're sorry, it's not you, it's us, so it wouldn't show the listing. I did see it in the search results. I don't know if somebody else could see it or not. I never had a chance to check, but I know today it's fine anyway. That's the only glitch I've seen this week. Taxes. Let's talk a minute about taxes, and we're going to talk about job-wise. One of the best jobs, or most unbelievable for me, we'll talk about. Taxes are coming out. Most of you should already have most of your documents accessible right this minute. From everything I see, it's just going to be about the same as it was dealing with PayPal and eBay. It'll just all be on eBay. I can't see any issues with throwing your data together as long as you print stuff as you should at the end of every month and everything. There should be no surprises of anything that I saw on the taxes. For me personally, now I don't know how everybody else does stuff, but we have an accountant, but I do put every single thing together and on a form, so I see everything before it actually gets put on anywhere. So everything I go over here, the accountant just make sure I crossed all my T's and dotted my I's. So anyway, I don't see any major issues. That's been brought up quite a few times. And again, I've looked over everything. I'm a stickler on information and reports and stuff like that. I love all of that stuff, as much of it as I can get. And there is enough on eBay. I know there's been issues in the past where they haven't offered information that would be useful to you for stuff like that, or they didn't really show anybody how to find the proper information for your reports and stuff that you would. Hang on, thought I clicked that off. Sorry. And so that's been an issue for a lot of people, is the reports that you print. I've always had access to the premium level. I can't remember what the name of it is, but they're not offering the reports that I used to have anymore. And you couldn't even get them, even though I had them for a year or two, unless you already had them accessed. So the new stuff's pretty relevant in my opinion. You can import everything as a CSV file, and that's what I do for everything. A CSV file is a comma delineated document. Basically, when there's a comma, it's going to pop it into a different cell on a workbook spreadsheet like Excel. You can use it on Google Docs as well too. I just do everything in Word, Microsoft Excel, Word, and I use Access too. And that would be my honest recommendations. You're going to have to put it together somehow. I know people pay for GoDaddy and all that kind of stuff, but I feel more under control of what's going on, where every dime goes, how my business is running, because I see the figures, I type everything in, and I calculate it all myself. So I know every little aspect of the business aspect of it. And I really think that, using some of the apps may make it easier on everybody, but you won't know all the breakdowns and aspects on it. And you can still make mistakes by typos and all that kind of stuff doing GoDaddy as well, from what I've seen personally. So, I would just recommend personally everybody seeing the numbers, at least how they come together, instead of just using an app to do everything. Because if something happens and you can't access that app, or they get shut down for doing something that they're not supposed to, or whatever the case may be, you could be SOL. That's why I think it's always essential for everybody to understand the whole aspect of taxes for a business if you're going to be a business. At least all the basics, so when you go to your accountant, he's not going to be asking you for a million things. You haven't a clue what he's talking about, or you haven't separated your space for what your business is, or you've got stuff that you can't write off, or you're throwing all kinds of things into there thinking you're going to be able to get something out of it. You should understand the basics. And I know we're going off topic here, but taxes are important. I'll probably have a video breaking down pretty much how to get everything and put it together. I've got it mostly worked out already. It'll be in segments so you can kind of follow along and pause it so you can go in and get the documents you need to put together. I'll cover everything in that video that you will need to put together for a business, basically, all the basics. I always recommend everybody, if you're doing this full time, would be to at least sit down with an accountant once and have a whole list of all your questions and everything ready to go, and use your time wisely. I think that's a mistake for anybody not doing that. Most of the time, if you look around in the phone book, the better ones will give you a free consultation, first consultation. And that's exactly what I've done. And I've done them with a couple people till I picked one that I liked. Didn't cost me a dime but my time. And I had all the questions lined up, and I had a pad, and I wrote down the answers to see which one, it was the most straight on their stuff. I know my business, though, so anyway. That's going to be a video coming out. I think it should be helpful for most people. I've had a lot of people panicking and telling me they didn't even put any of their information in for the entire last year anywhere, and they just got it in a bunch of receipts and stuff written down on tablets and stuff, and that's how you can get in trouble. Whether it's your intent or not, if you do something wrong, you can still get in trouble. Ignorance of the law is no excuse, and it goes the same way with taxes. Hate to say that, but that's the way it is. So anyway, let me pop back up here. I've already kind of bounced around on here. Marty, we hit. Marty is in the house. Disney Family 515. Hey, Duncan, how are you doing? Australian state stamps are BOLO right now. Yeah, I actually picked up. Do I have it? Hate to get off screen. I don't think I have it laying around here. I just picked up some stamps and some really cool Aussie postcards. Really interesting RPPC, real photo picture postcards. Maybe I'll put those in a video here. No spiders, Duncan. No spiders. I still have issues with that, Duncan, where I've got a scar on my face because I had a big, huge hole from the spider getting me there, and there's still issues. Sometimes it still swells up. I still have issues with rashes ever since then because it's kind of damaged some of my organs, I should say. I've had to go through a lot of tests over that stupid spider. It's amazing that something this small can put you down for an incredible amount of time. I was just shocked beyond belief. Anyway, let's see here. Hey, Bob, how are you doing? I answered every single thing in Patreon, so any questions, I did respond to several people with some follow-up questions from me to give you some, I need some more information to price a couple of those items for those folks in Patreon. Bob, I think you had something posted on the Zeppelins. I did respond. If you need anything or help on what I asked for in the email, just hit me back and I can just give you a little breakdown on exactly how to do it step by step. So anyway, just FYI, Bob, just bring that up since I see several in here. Hopefully that answers it too, Marty. On Native American is the best term, I would say. I'll use this now for just a second here, but the term Indians is technically insulting to many people. So just FYI. I try not to insult anybody. It's just not right. My family has Native American, people in their family, so I'm very cautious on certain things. Hey, Aaron, how you doing, Aaron? Hopefully you are doing well. Hopefully that business is flourishing. Rose Smith, good evening, good evening. And there's Daryl, Carolina Picks. How are you doing, Daryl? Hope you are doing well. Orbit Roshi, how are you doing as well? Yeah, I got you that one there. I want to try and get questions answered. I know I'm terrible on that, but Rick Hood, good evening, good evening. Yeah, it's just, let me throw this out here. I get comments on videos and stuff like that. And, honestly, I totally don't care anymore what somebody thinks or says. We had a laugh on one today because someone made a comment on my van, my van that I pick up stuff in, and they were being insulting. I didn't care. I thought it was kind of funny. One thing that doesn't ever impress me, ever, and I've said this all the time. Anybody who knows me in person knows this very, very well. I don't care if somebody has a fancy car. It doesn't impress me in the slightest. What impresses me is being able to build the money and not waste it on things that aren't going to do you any good. My vehicles are all mechanically sound, and I don't really care what my vehicle looks like on the outside to go pick up something in. What do I care? It's a work van. I've had it fixed. We've had the rust taken off and stuff like that. I'm only addressing this just to state this. I don't care about any of that. I'm not a materialistic person. It doesn't impress me, the shirts, the clothing you wear, what kind of car you drive. So all the videos that show flashing money or a fancy car or something, more power to you, but it's not impressive to me. It's just flash, trying to attract people's attention, and that's not what does it for me. I don't put out a lot of that stuff. I don't really care what somebody thinks about my again, somebody mentioned the clothing shirt. It doesn't offend me. I don't really care. I don't care what somebody thinks about what I wear. If I like what it is, I don't care. I just don't care. You're wasting your time thinking about the wrong things, worrying about how fancy a car is or any of that stuff. If you keep a clean house, you take care of yourself and your family, that's really what matters to me. The title, the most unbelievable job I've ever had. A job where I don't have a boss. A job, this is leading into there, so I'm changing the topic for just a second here. A job where I don't have to ever worry about that phone going off in the middle of the night asking me to come in because one of the other managers couldn't come in, or something happened, or the store was robbed, or 100 million other reasons why my phone would go off at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning on my only day off. Or the worry that I'm going to miss work and I didn't set the alarm. Because I've done that in real life. I forgot to set the alarm, or I set it and I forgot that we changed it from, say, a radio station to the wake-up noise that I have set on there. Those are things that I've had happen to me. And most people have overslept for work. All of that kind of thing. And even after doing what I'm doing now for 10 years, those are still concerns. I always still wake up not thinking, because it's a totally different experience. This here, again, for me, isn't about the money, the flash that everybody tries to show off, like a bill shooter that shoots out dollar bills or 100 bills or whatever. I could go to the bank and get a whole bunch of money out and throw a whole bunch of money on there and do a ton of videos and just take it back and put it in the bank. It doesn't mean that I'm rich. It doesn't mean that I made it even doing what I'm doing now. It doesn't mean a thing to me. That's why it doesn't impress me. A car, a piece of clothing, you having a $10,000 Rolex or a $50,000 Patek or Pataki or whatever those really expensive watches are and stuff like that. I don't wear bling. I don't wear any fancy. I don't care. I would rather invest all my extra time and money into having it in the bank, making sure that if my son or one of my kids needs some medical thing, I have the money there. I'd rather have financial stability than go out and worry about a car or anything like that. If I get a car, we pay in cash. So that means I probably won't buy a very expensive one. I'll buy one with good miles, mechanically sound, safety checks, airbags, and all that kind of stuff. Good mileage, a big enough engine. I don't, I check all that stuff out. I don't care about all the rest of it. I'm not that way. If I could get away with wearing the exact same shirt every day of the week, my Elvis shirt, I probably would. But obviously, it wouldn't be seen as appropriate. People would question why you're wearing the same shirt. I don't really care what I throw on in the mornings, in all honesty. I don't know. People think I'm weird, but that's me. That's the plain and simple. Nothing like that impresses me. I don't get impressed if a Lamborghini goes by. I'd be far more impressed with a vintage car, that was in stock condition, looked like it rolled off the floor, the showroom floor. That would impress me more. I don't care how much it's worth. I don't care. The value means nothing in my thought, in my world. It's the ability to have freedom. That's the number one thing that this gives me. The whole aspect of not worrying about a phone call in the middle of the night, or a head boss coming in and telling me I'm not doing something right, or why are my numbers off even though I'm hitting my numbers, all that kind of stuff. The most truly unbelievable job from someone who has worked for my entire life for somebody else doing really crap jobs. I made okay money, but I never could spend it, and I make far more now than I ever did working for other people. Is what I'm doing now is reselling, and that's a fact. But if you're not dedicated and not going to dig into it, you're not going to, be as successful as you want to be. It may be practical for many people just to work for somebody else, and they might make more money. 6 digits is nothing in reselling, in my opinion, from where I've come from to where I'm at now. Maybe there's a lot of people out there whose parents had a lot of money when they were younger. This isn't some sob story. I just want to put this out there. I grew up and my family never had a lot of money. My mom worked 2 nights a week, every other week as a nurse. She held her nurse's license for many years in a depressing place, nursing home, just to have a little extra money when my father was home. So my father worked long hours, did a lot of stuff. He worked very hard. It's what killed him. He had a heart attack years when I was 17. So I grew up with not a lot of stuff, but we were a tight family. And that's how I've been with my family. It wasn't the money. We could have made more money if when my wife was pregnant, if she worked and did this and did that and stuff, and it was a concerted choice based on how I grew up. I don't care about the money. I like money enough to be comfortable and to do what I want to do, but all the other stuff that everybody worries about, to me, is just pointless. It doesn't get me anywhere. That a nice, expensive car isn't going to get me any different than a nice, decent car with, a reliable motor and mechanical and stuff like that. It doesn't do anything for me. Just like when I see people showing pictures of all the stuff they're mailing out in one day. It doesn't mean anything. It means absolutely nothing. I try to very slimly show that. I've even stopped posting some of that just because I don't want people thinking I'm, saying one thing and doing something else. That kind of thing doesn't mean much unless you can show how much you made off of those items. I could sell 1,000 items a day and not make a dime. So again, what impresses me is someone's knowledge or skill. I was out the other day and someone had one up. He was one up on me. He got me. He knew more about stuff in a certain category than I did. When I was out somewhere, he walked by. He was the behinder. I do that to people quite often. There's usually a row of how the people shop, and I walk behind people and pick up stuff quite often. He picked up something behind me. He knew who I was, though, so at least he said hey, and told me what it was. So I was very thankful. It's my mistake. Who cares? I made a mistake, but knowledge impresses me more than anything else. Your ability to do stuff. I don't care how much packages someone sends out or what kind of car, clothing. I'm going to get off my little high horse. I'm not trying to be critical of. I don't care what anybody else thinks with their life. If you like something, that's great. That's fine. That's how it's supposed to be. But I don't like all that stuff. It doesn't impress me. So you can crack on any of that stuff all you want. It's not gonna. It just, to me, that's somewhat. If you got to have a Lamborghini or you got to have this, or you're worried about all that stuff, it's a shallow thought. a lot of times with me because, again, I'm beyond, I don't care about any of that. It's family, it's business, and that's it. I don't worry about TV. I don't worry about, I haven't washed a vehicle in a year and a half, probably 2 years maybe. It rains outside, and that's what it gets. We've had it waxed, I think, once or something, but I don't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's transportation. It's a necessity, and I don't worry about necessities. I'm sure people are thinking I'm crazy or weird right now, but that's me. That's me. Let me go back over here. I don't want to not get to some questions. Couldn't print first class labels either. Jeffrey D. I didn't have any problems. If it won't let you print, one thing I have seen is it has at least allowed you to send them, at least when I walked through somebody else telling me that same thing. They didn't print them technically, but they sent them to a file. I think it shows up as a PDF or something, and then the PDF allowed them to print them. I don't know if it would work that way for everybody else. I don't know what everybody else has the issues, but I haven't had that yet either. I will keep a mental note of that to see if I get more people saying the same thing. I'm sure it's regionally affected to some extent. Hey, Mr. Sanders. I was just going to say I responded to that on the book. It does look like an original to me by what I found, but again, it could just be some person who signed them all that way. I don't know. I'll send you. There's two I would use on that. One I've always favored, but they've taken a long time on my dent stuff. So I'll drop you an email by the morning at the latest, Rich, and let you know on my recommendations on that. I don't know if you've went through that process before. It's a learning curve if you've never sent in something on some of them, because you got to source the signature, and I don't think you'll find that signature on their signature list. Maybe I'm wrong, but I was thinking about that too. So I'll give you a couple options, and I might even suggest maybe Heritage as well, which is one I've had extremely good luck in. Rich too. Several other Patreons have sent stuff there with my recommendations, and they were extremely happy. One of them sold some really nice photos. I would have almost been tempted to keep. He scored big time. In fact, they're on the Patreon page on the community tab. But he got like $1,400 out of these things. I mean, on eBay, I doubt he would have got more than say $400 or $500. So it was a big difference on something like that. You might check there too. They'll at least tell you. I've never had them not respond to something if you were sending them a sincere interest and honest recommendations. You might check them out too. Faharness, how are you doing? Good evening, good evening. Sunday Fun Day, Pamela Saban, how are you doing? I just like saying the whole thing. I think you said once before I didn't have to go all cross, but I've got friends in Phoenix, and I've had friends in Phoenix for a couple decades. At one time, I had a friend who worked for Fox Afternoon. He did the programming for the cartoons, and in Phoenix was the place. They had a huge studio. Maybe they still do. I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a little while, and he moved to California. But I've been to Phoenix once in my life. Dirt Road Picker, how are you doing? Good evening. Better Barbie. Yeah, hit the like button if you haven't. I'm terrible on even thinking about that half the time. I get in my train of thought, and I'm just off going. So anyway, I'm working my way down on here. Amazon Seller 99, how you doing? Time flies. Yes, time does fly. I did a video about the wrappers the other day from like trading cards, and somebody posted a comment which made a comment about it was like a trip down memory lane looking at the wrappers. I'm going to go back to Unbelievable Job again for a minute here, because there's so much reasons why this is, and I got a little conversation. You can read it on. Then we were talking for a few posts. And I don't usually respond to. I don't have much time, but I saw it out of nowhere, and it was an interesting one. Stuff like that I run into, it's like I'm getting an instant flash of my childhood selling the stuff, because it's all stuff I had before. So I got a real good memory on like stuff like that. I don't on names and stuff, but on stuff like that. It does bring back fond memories of being a kid and seeing a specific thing for the very first time. I remember my first a pack of trading cards I ever bought was Star Wars. I remember the very first card, which I still own today, that I saw from that pack, and it's them, the Millennium Falcons flying out, and it's the stormtroopers lined up there. I don't remember the card number, but I used to remember the card number even, and I was just so fascinated with that. It brings back memories, and that's why it's so cool, because I get to see things that Star Wars occupied 3 plus, probably more than that. Let's see, it's 78 to 83. So 5-6 years of my life was dominated by Star Wars and fantasy films, Buck Rogers. So for me to be able to play with the toys again, I hate to say that, but it's an unbelievable thing that I can do that. I can play Atari for a while and check out a bunch of games, and that's literally part of what I got to do. I get to sometimes pay to get, to play video games, to make sure they work, take pictures of them on screen and stuff like that, and to make sure that it doesn't just work for a few minutes and then crashes out. We test all the games. The kids, we play them on the big 10-foot screen over there, and everybody enjoys it. It's honestly an unbelievable business experience to do this for so many different reasons. I'm not just in this for the money, and I wish other people would be more like that, because when I go out and I'm sourcing or something, people are just cutthroat and push you and grab stuff that's right there that you're obviously looking at. Just awful things just for that. I'll just let them have it. I'm not going to fight over something. I don't need the money that bad. If they do, and that's how impolite and unprofessional they are, I just let it go. It's just not worth my time, arguing over something stupid. I don't go out much anymore sourcing. I don't need to, but it's just the fact. This gives you a lot of experience, a lot of unique things to see and touch. It gives you a look into the past. You can relive your childhood when you show up with a case of hundreds of Star Wars figures, or whatever the case may be. And I knew all those toys. So for me, a lot of people say the first thing to start selling are things around the house, and it's things that as well. So knowing the vintage toys you grew up on is always a huge plus. I do have a toy video that's done, and we're going to go into that too. I'm not sure what I'm posting, because I was waiting for one more purchase that we had to show up to add one more segment. If it doesn't show up in the next day or two, I'll probably just run it out with them. We purchase high-end, some high-end vintage toys occasionally for our collection. So I'm going to go into some of that, and I'm going to give you some insider ways to figure things out and get some prices on collectible toys. We'll talk about the collectible toy market. Unless you're a buyer and a fanatic on getting like the rarities and things like that, this is stuff you wouldn't know or wouldn't have the access to, I guess, and we're going to go into that too. Let me go back and get some more questions. We'll keep popping back and forth on literally why, for me, this is unbelievable a job. It just is. This is the best job I've ever had. I will never be able to top this that I could imagine. In my book, again, I don't want what everybody else wants. I'm not looking to be some millionaire that, is too far up to even remember where they came from. My family never had a ton of money, and I don't care if I have anything fancy. It doesn't matter to me. Life and your family should be the most important thing. But anyway, let's pop on down. Let's pop on down. Buta Sound, good evening. Bruce Brammer, how are you doing? Bruce just picked up 5 George magazines. I've had like 20 people tell me that, so I know that this stuff is out there. Now, I'm probably going to get some more George magazines tomorrow. So I don't know if I'll show another video, because I have a whole video just on that. But they're out there. And there's some other ones going up right now. Those in Patreon, if you haven't checked out the last Bolo video, it's on magazines specifically. There's another one that's, in fact, I've got some here. I need one more out of a set so I can make some big bucks on it. There's other ones that sell for $1,000 plus, just FYI. Again, they're ones that people just don't think are usually worth good money. So, let me see here. Most people don't like the word Indian. I'm just telling you that from someone who is Native American, who knows a ton of Native American anyway. This person is saying they are a Sioux, so I guess if that's what... again, it depends on the people and in the tribe and the nation and the whole works, too. Why is there people on eBay? Maz Silver. I see that constantly. It's a constant fact of life you're going to have to deal with. It's the cost of doing business. I'm not going to say that I've never been taken on there, but it's very few and very far between. I've been more taken on buying stuff for the family, like a PlayStation that showed up as 2 bricks once before. I think it was 2 bricks. It was 1 or 2. I don't remember the story. But at the end of the day, I got my money back. And we had enough time, since I always order ahead of time, to, still get another one in. It was a PlayStation 4, I think is what it was. Or maybe it was a PlayStation 3 when they just came out. I don't remember. But it's going to happen, and there's not much you can do about it. There's just not much you can do about it. As a buyer, even like on Amazon, I get taken on Amazon. I shouldn't say taken, because I always get my money back, and Amazon always makes it right. But I've had more issues by far, like buying clothing on Amazon. It's awful because there's so much poor quality marketed and knockoffs on there and stuff like that. Like most of the printed, like design T-shirts, you wash them 3 or 4 times and the design's already peeling off. We're very, very selective. And the other one you got to worry about on Amazon is like if you start reading, and we read all the comments and stuff on everything just to make sure they're legit, because half the time the comments are talking about some totally different item. Somebody's hijacked the listing, basically. Somebody ran out, they used an old listing, they switched the description, which is easy to do. You can hijack a listing on there. I know somebody's personally had one of theirs hijacked while they were still live and active with it, and it took forever to beat Amazon on it. Hang on just a second here. I've got several things I'm in the process. I got a deal I'm working on, as I said, with some magazines tomorrow. Hang on, let me pop that back down. Tracy, how are you doing? Tracy Wheeler. Jessica Majors, good evening. Yeah, if you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button down there. We got 130 some odd people on. I got 45 likes. Let's see here. Cody B, how are you doing? Yeah, I could see them banning the use of the word Indian at some point. I wouldn't. I'm not going to put out some other words, but there are some that are banned that would be used in that same specific use. So just FYI, there are some. And if you use them, obviously, you'll get a warning at the bottom, too, telling you about the artifact rules and laws. In, like, the state... I'm almost positive it's the state of Georgia. You can't send anything like a Arrowhead or anything else like that without a letter stating where it came from and all this other stuff with it. The laws have changed, so you got to be very careful. And, like, you can't... If, like, let's say you have a basket. It looks to be Native American. Unless you can prove without a doubt that it is, you can get some in trouble. You can get your listing booted, and you can get a ding on your account for using that word in there. Using a nation, a Native American nation or tribe, using one of their names in that listing without having bona fide proof will get you kicked. You could get suspended immediately on the very first time you do it. I can give examples. It's a legit thing, so you got to be careful on that without a doubt. I'm extremely, if in doubt, I just don't use the word, whatever word it is, for describing whatever we're talking about. You got to be careful. Just like the Veros, there's words like Velcro. Don't ever use Velcro in an eBay listing. Don't use onesies. There's like 20 words that I've got on a list. Maybe I should do a video on just the words never to use on eBay. I did a video the other day, too, talking about, like, ivory and tortoiseshell, knitting needles and things like that found in sewing boxes and stuff. I'm surprised at how many people had to ask why. And no offense, I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody. I was really surprised, though, how many people don't understand why you would never want to sell those. It's a crime just to possess them, as far as I can see in our state. I can't even own them without a letter stating the age and a bunch of stuff. And you risk, if you go and ask to have them examined, you risk getting yourself in trouble just by asking somebody to look at them, because then it gets into how'd you get them. And if you bought them unintentionally, not knowing, you could be in some trouble. It's a felony to own without, authorization, any of them. There's videos all over on YouTube of some busts where they went in and bought some ivory statuary and things like that from people and had them all arrested. And I've been very, very into making sure I'm careful on that. The few pieces we've ever had, I donated to a museum immediately. With the receipt, where they came from, I had no idea, in the whole works, and it was risky, but I didn't want to discard them just because I figured the museum took responsibility, and they covered everything, so it was really a good experience for both of us. So just FYI on that one here. I didn't want to miss any of that. Let's see here. Yeah, Rich Sanders, my van is 15 years old and is never in the shop, holds all my hauls, and I don't care if it gets a little dirty. I don't care. That's the point. It's not worth... Do you want to be a business person or not? When you're the first 10 years of a business, you shouldn't be going out and spending money. I don't care what's coming in. You never know what's going to happen in the future. Wouldn't waste money on a car or anything else like that. It's stupid. It's pointless. The mechanics on the car, all I care about. That's the biggest, most important thing you've got out there is mechanics and safety of it. And that's what I worry about totally. I don't care what somebody thinks about my car. If you knew me, that would be funny. That would be a funny line there. But it doesn't matter. There's so much that people worry about that to me is irrelevant in life, in that. I'd rather have good friends than a fancy car. I know, who cares? That's the point. We got money to do what we want. If I want to go buy a new car, I go buy a new car. I don't care. I just don't care. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm not pushing off my stuff. I'm not showing dollar bills, y'all, all the time or anything else like that. I don't care. That's not the point of this. I don't advertise and I don't push my wares on people. I hardly even remember to say, hit the like button. I don't care. It's not important. The point is I get into what I'm doing, and it's the topics. I don't... Everybody asks me why don't you share your store and all this other stuff. I do share it for those who are interested, can find it anytime they want, day or night. It's not hidden. I just don't post it because I'm not trying to get people to buy stuff from me who are watching my videos to learn. I'd rather teach you something than have you buy something from me. I don't sell what most people want in the first place. I've said this before, but, I get called liar and all this other stuff on it, Not that I care. I know the truth, and I don't really care. I don't know those people. They don't mean anything to me, I get nasty ones rarely these days. I get a lot of nice comments these days, and the nasty ones just get deleted after the first or second word, and I'm done. I don't read them even. Just like the folks who got to come early and hit the thumbs down, they don't watch the videos. Who cares? The thumbs down doesn't hurt you either. I don't. People are just wasting their time on the wrong things. If you want to get good and you want to have a successful business, don't worry about any of that stuff. Worry about your business. Worry about yourself. Worry about your life. Worry about your well-being and growing your business. Don't worry about having the best clothes, the best car. Who cares? If it's a necessity like having a good pair of shoes, buy the best pair of shoes. I'll spend money on a good pair of shoes. I got Rockports, and I won't buy any other than like two kinds, because it's the only one that doesn't hurt my feet. I've got a foot injury from reselling, honestly. So, I spend money on stuff not by brand, but by what works the best for me. Pair of jeans. I wear the same types of jeans because I like the way they fit. I don't care what they cost. I don't care the brand. I'm not buying them to impress somebody. I don't buy a brand because some star, famous person wore them. I've met a lot of famous people. I've met a lot of, rich people when I worked at Disney, and other than the skilled ones, the ones that were more of an artist as opposed to just some snooty actor like, say, Tim Burton. I mean, he was down to earth. That kind of thing I liked. Eddie Murphy was down to earth. Robin Williams was down to earth. Eddie Murphy was probably one of the nicer ones. Robin Williams was great. I mean, those type of things. The person impresses me more than anything else. I don't look up to anybody like that. Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. I admire his business skill and his business knowledge. I admire that he's straightforward. I don't know him personally. I don't care about that. I don't care what his personal is. I'm only looking at the business knowledge. I don't care about the rest of it. It's not. I don't care that he flashes a watch. I'm not looking at that part. I don't care. I'm just he knows his stuff, and watching videos like that. Look at people's videos sometimes, and you can kind of see how much they're into and know their business and stuff like that. People talk and bring up Gary Vee to me all the time. I'm not a Gary Vee person. Nothing against him. It's just not my type of motivator at all. I don't know. That's just me. Again, it's not. If he works for you, that's perfect. This is just me. Again, I don't care what somebody else listens to or likes. It drives me nuts. That's one of my pet peeves, is when someone complains about what somebody else likes. Who cares what somebody else likes? It means nothing in your life, my life, or anything else. I'm not bothering you. You're not bothering me. Who cares? Again, this is honestly the most unbelievable job I've got. I don't have to concern myself with that stuff. You do your business right. You take pride in what you do, and every single thing you mail out, you take pride in it. I was going to say I'd show you something too. I ordered a toy the other day, and I was going to show you a bad example. Maybe I'll throw it in a video. I hate to walk off screen, but we ordered a mint on card toy, a vintage Weeble, and the person who sent it to us folded the top of the carded figure, to fit it in a little priority box. And I'm like, the second I open it up, I'm like, it's going back. You just ruined the whole value on why I bought it. I could have bought a damaged one of those any day of the week. Well, not any day, but the point of it was, didn't take pride. They didn't research how to do it. And I see that so much these days with buying collectibles. And again, that's why I see a lot of people complain about this or complain about that. Hang on just a second here. I'm not trying to snub anybody. Matt, thank you very kindly. Paying tuition. Well, thank you very kindly. And I saw Daryl as well. Carolina Picks. Thank you guys both for the $5 super chats. Again, I honestly, nobody has to do that. I put the option in there. I'm not a big promoter on myself, so to speak. You guys know I just start talking and I'm off in my little world for a little while there. But I'm passionate about what I sell. And again, that's why I don't worry about any other stuff. I don't watch TV, which people just don't believe. My business, I've made more money since I stopped watching TV. My revenue has increased massively. We doubled our revenue in 1 month on eBay, right there through December. And it hasn't really gone down since. But again, I'm taking up all my extra time that I wasted on watching shows that didn't mean anything in the first place to me. So where's your loyalty lie, I guess? Is it with your family and your business? Or are you going to worry about having a nice car to impress somebody, or watch some show that's not going to advance your business at all? I mean, there's a few shows that you might learn something from. A lot of them are just flub, fancy, flash, swag. I don't know how else to put it. None of that impresses me these days. It just doesn't. If I had a chance to buy a Rolex for a good price, I would surely buy it and sell it. But I just see dollars in my eyes when I look at stuff. I don't care about, the other aspect of it. Nothing's off the table in this business to sell in my book. We get stuff so often. If I kept everything or enjoyed it or something more than we do now, my house would be so full I couldn't do anything. But thank you both for that very kindly. Let me pop back over here. I want to get to some questions too. Again, I can't say enough, coming from a family who didn't have a lot of money, that's wasting it on stuff that's not going to advance you is just pointless. If you got to go to a nice meeting or something like that, there might be a reason to have a decent looking car, but none of that's important. None of that's important. The ones I know, and straight dope, the ones I know that are the most successful doing this live, eat, and sleep this. That's it. They don't care about any of the other aspects. They'll wear a shirt in a video with holes in it because it doesn't care. It's not the what's going on in their head. And I don't judge people by how they look. I judge them by what's up here. I don't know how else to put it. That's the point. I don't care what you look like. If you're clean and you take care of yourself and you're nice and polite, that's what rules the day. Just my take. I just wish things were more different, but Where am I at? I know I've rambled. I have no idea how much time I've wasted. Oh, we got plenty of time. Let's see here. Linda Wyatt, I do not care either. My work van is a 1990 Chevy we call Old Blue with a cave top where a tree fell. And I know exactly those type of vans. My cousin had one for many years. Again, it doesn't matter. Even if it's not my work van, I don't care if there is something wrong with my car. My taillights are all there, all the mechanicals in mint condition. I've got brand new tires. It doesn't matter the rest of it. It's a utilitarian item to me personally, just like clothing. Clothing to me is something, it's a necessity. I have to wear it. And it doesn't matter. As long as I think it's okay, I don't care. I don't idolize someone's shirts or anything else. Again, I don't care if you do. It doesn't matter. That's what makes your day great, but it's not what makes my day. The intelligence impresses me more than anything else. Being able to look outside the box and come up with something that's made a bunch of money from your own idea, your own sweat and equity, that's impressive. I admire the determination from somebody. I admire the people that don't give up. There's something to be said. I don't give up. I don't care if it takes forever. I'm going to keep bugging somebody till I get something or that goes in the direction it should go. I'm not going to be a pesterance, but anyway. Well, thank you, Rick. Tracy, we are absolutely agree. Well, thank you as well. Hey, Annie, how are you doing? Annie, you got that stand. I don't know if it's a standee or not. I did leave you a question, Annie, on that post on the tobacco piece. That is 100% a stock tobacco, either a sign or a counter display. And that is probably the nicest one of those I have ever seen in my entire life, Andy. I put some comments on there. I asked one more quick question on the back of it, too. But that's a phenomenal, phenomenal piece. It's the nicest one I've ever seen. And I've seen hundreds of those sorts of things. Really nice piece. I've got a bunch of comments on there, too. If you have any other questions or you want to respond, just leave me a note, and I'll look at it tomorrow, Annie. Craig, Landshark Picker, how are you doing? Another friendly fellow channel. Craig's got a pretty darn good channel out there. He's done some of his own software. See, that's an example. Craig created his own software for something, some applications. And that's, from an IT guy, I like that stuff. So Craig's got some good knowledge, and he looks outside the box in many things. So that's impressive, So just FYI, that's the kind of thing that I respect. There's a lot of people that show the bling and got to show and show out. I don't respect any of that. It doesn't mean anything. You're just trying to get reassurance that you're great by people by bragging about what you got and stuff. I get called a braggart, and I don't get it because that's not me. I don't get it at all. I don't think anyway. Let's not go there. I don't want to go off on a tangent again. Let's get to some more questions here. I babble a lot, I know. Jay Coleman. Well, thank you very kindly. Thank you very kindly. I'm not trying to be impressive. I'm stuck with me being me, and I've got issues, I know, but I like what I talk about. I like what I have. I like the stuff that I buy and sell. It encourages me, and I'm enthusiastic when they come in. Sometimes I feel like, no exaggeration, I literally feel like I'm 8 or 9 years old opening them up some toy on Christmas Day, even though it's just some big box of stuff I sourced, big bunch of junk to most people. I love that. $15,000 pate. Yeah, nope, that wouldn't be me. Daryl Hall, I'm not sure what that is. I have no clue on that one there. Might be interested to look it up. Hey, Michelle, how are you doing? I think you had something on there, too. I know I saw your name. I responded to everything in there, too, so. Your knowledge far outweighs luxury. I don't care about... Again, I'm totally serious about every dime going through my business. I would have to say, if you really, really, really want to be really successful, you've got to live, eat, and sleep. I'll say it again. That's what it takes these days. I know you'll see people saying it's just this easy. You do this, you do that. You sell so many of these. You sell so many of these every week, like 50 pairs of jeans, 50 shirts. It doesn't work that way unless you're some national company that has a massive amount of business flexing in, or the best sourcing avenues you could find anywhere. It doesn't work that way. None of that is the real world in my book. And I've worked for corporate America in upper management, regional, corporate office, the whole work. I've done that. I handled $11.2 million as a regional. I mean, I've handled the big boy money, and stuff like that. People just don't know enough about their business is part of the reason that they're not fully dedicated to it, or it's just about money and they could care less about anything else. I buy stuff that I don't care about. Sometimes because it's intriguing. I have a video from a haul, and I did like a reshoot with some other scenes, and it's like a compilation. And it brought back another thing. I had a lot of people in that video make a comment, and no disrespect, this isn't an insult or anything at all to anybody, but a lot of people said, why didn't I buy all? There were maps in the video, and I had 25, 30 people say, well, why didn't you buy them all? I didn't want them all. I didn't care. I wasn't out there to make every dime I could. I was just out there to have a little fun and enjoyment and throw a video together. And, I like finding stuff. I love sourcing, but, I don't get to do it very much because I'm literally just going somewhere and picking up a whole bunch of stuff that somebody calls me, and then I'm done. I don't get the thrill of the hunt like everybody else does. So I don't have to have everything. I'm not the greedy person out there sourcing. I'll leave stuff on the table. Any of my sourcing videos you've seen, I've had opportunity to buy a lot more items. Again, I like stuff that I like, and I pass on stuff that I just don't want to mess with that's good money. A lot of people like Dom, Primetime Treasure Hunter, really good friend of the channel here. He messes with VCRs and stuff like that. And I know tons of people that do. It's just not my bag. I don't enjoy it as much. And these days, I can pick what I like. I can pass up hundreds of items to get to the few that I want because they get me enough money coming in, and I enjoy it, and I like what I do. It's the most enjoyable job I've ever had for that reason. Once you get to a certain stage, the money coming in isn't an issue. It's just like clockwork. It's like in autopilot, and then the money keeps rolling in because I keep putting stuff up. You're feeding a machine out in one end with product and out the other end with money. And it's a piece of cake to me now, only because I've done it for so long. It never was a piece of cake when I first started. It's not a piece of cake for a good chunk of people watching the videos here. My videos, whoever's. It's not a piece of cake, and it wasn't, as I said. We had 3 long years of very hard living, but again, I'm dedicated. I didn't give up. I figured a way. If I had to do like some day job for somebody for 50 extra bucks to make a bill, that's what I did. Worked a lot of hours. We ate the ramen noodles or whatever we could afford. The kids ate all the good food, and we moved on. But we were a tight-knit family. Nobody suffered, in that of it, and we're still a tight family. People think I'm weird, and my family's weird because of that. Most people don't talk to their kids or don't know what their kids do or aren't involved. I mean, I went to a counselor with both kids when they went to college, and the counselor, and I know her because she worked at another place, and I know her personally, and she told me that maybe 1 out of 10, or maybe not even that high, it might be like 5 out of 100, their parents show up when the kids are going to college to back them up. And a lot of the college, failure rate is high, so a lot of people aren't interested in that. But I know everything about my kids because we're that close. I know the classes, what they like, what they take, the music they like, and if they like weird clothing or whatever, that's them. I don't care, And far too many people just don't get that. They're more worried about the dollar bill, and greed, and it just doesn't do it for me anymore. I hate to say it. I've learned long ago with all the things that have happened in our life and medical issues with family, like my son and stuff, that doesn't mean anything anymore. It's not a driving factor. Just like me, people wondering why I don't push my items on everybody, or why I don't have a course or anything. I have a paid service, but it's videos and helping people. It's not you watch something and you're gonna make a ton of money. I never promised that, and I would never respect somebody who just promises you're gonna make a bunch of money doing this, because it took us 3 years to get enough where I didn't have to worry as much. 3 years. And that's when it was easier. Now it's a little tougher, a lot more people selling and stuff like that. But, when you don't have a lot of money to start off with, you got to keep advancing and investing every dime back into it. I save money in the bank. I'd rather have 20 grand in the bank in case some massive purchase shows up on my doorstep than buy a brand new car or put a $20,000 payment down on something that I really don't need in the first place. That's why I say none of that means anything. I'd rather have $100,000 in cash in the bank so I could buy a whole estate out or something like that. I could get a loan, pretty much anytime I want, but I don't recommend it unless you have to, and I don't need to, so I don't. Why waste the money on stuff that's not going to get me anywhere? But thank you, Joe. Thank you very kindly. Well, thank you, Tracy Willie. Thank you very kindly. And Kathy Reese showed up late. How dare you? But glad to see you in, Kathy. Hopefully you're doing well. CC, how are you doing? Yeah, we're at 170 plus people. I got 86 likes. If I can get 14 more, you'll make me happy tonight. Been driving the same truck for 20 years. Yeah, again, I'm glad to hear stuff like that. We have a cousin who buys a new vehicle every 3 years, I want to say. What's the sense? I take care of them. We get the oil changes. We do the timing belt, at the recommended replacement. I've had, a head gasket replaced ahead of time, and I've had them check the rear main seals, and I have the transmission flushed. We replaced the radiator when there was an issue and stuff like that. It's not that big of an ordeal. Just to take care of it, take care of what you got. I've learned from growing up with not a lot of money, you take care of what you have and it lasts you longer, and you don't waste the money. I know people that are filthy rich, but you'd never, ever, ever, even if you saw their house, you wouldn't know it. But I know they're rich. That's the funny thing, because those are the ones that, that they're not worried about that. It's not about the money. It's about life in general. And far too many people, in my book, are chasing after the wrong thing. Again, freedom. That's what this gives me. That's why it's the best job I've ever had. It's like I almost got to pinch myself sometimes. Just the remembering childhood days happens constantly. I'm not dwelling on, bad news, or I don't watch the news anymore hardly at all. So I don't dwell on any of that. I love this stuff. I'm immersed in it, and a lot of our friends who we've known for 30 years or so, they're stuck in this day in, day out monotony of their job, and they hate it, and they've got to do it. They got mortgages and all of that stuff, and you're worried about the wrong thing. So many people is what I'll say once more on that. Anyway, let me pop back down here. I'm going through this. PT's either in you or it isn't. I find items and they definitely find me too. Yeah, most of my items just come to me these days. We moved from England to U.S. Dad got laid off, and we had to move back to England. No freebies to get in line for. Yeah, I get you there. I've never taken, that kind of stuff either. Just FYI, I'm not one. I worked for everything I have. I worked very, 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 very hard for. I'm not a slacker. If I'm sick, I still try to do something. I feel weird if I don't do something. First thing I get up is I'm working. I don't worry about breakfast. I make sure I know where my business is running. I check my projections for the day. I sit there, see how much stuff's got to go out. I'll write down, if it's depending on the platforms, how much I got from each platform. It's an hour or two before I eat usually in the mornings. My first thing is work every day. That's it. And I like that. I get up. I get out of bed. The minute alarm's up, going off, I'm out of bed. Literally, my feet are going on the floor. I'm throwing socks on and the whole works. I'm pumped about what I do. It's every day is something new. Every day is a new lesson for me even. So anyway. Royal. No, I'm not a pimp, but yeah, thanks. Let me pop down, get to some more. Yeah, there's a lot I don't know, Jay Coleman. I'm not a big sports fan. I did play baseball. I was on cross country. I don't like watching it. I like playing the stuff. If I'm gonna be into it, I got to be the one playing it. It doesn't do anything to watch somebody run. I know probably somebody's offended by that, but that's just me. I don't get anything off. I don't watch any games, anything, nothing. I don't turn on the TV really. Honestly, I'm happier for not doing that because I hate when a show is going so good and then they just tank it by making some awful move. Just me. Let's see. Amazon Seller 99. What impresses me is people who are happy with who they are and don't need material objects to justify their success or lack. There you go. I would say that's a perfect analogy of what I'm talking about here. I think the people who have to have the flashy car are trying to build themselves up, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to be a psychologist or psychiatrist or anything else like that, but I've taken all the classes and it doesn't do anything. I don't care. I don't care what you think about what I'm driving or anything else like that. I didn't mean to get this into that area of the conversation, but again, have priorities and make sure those priorities are meaningful in what you do. Because if you're worried about obtaining $100,000 car or a $1 million house, you're probably thinking about the wrong things. If it comes to you for all the hard work, more power to you. But that shouldn't be your goal. My goal is to be successful. That doesn't mean I'm going to be rich. To me, successful to some people means different things. To me, it's being able to do what I want and be able to, pay for what I got and take care of my family. And if I make a lot of money doing it, fine. If I don't need to make a lot of money and I'm still able to meet those goals, fine. I don't care. I can't take it with me. It's not like I'm going to be buried with my money or something. So, it doesn't matter, There's only so much time we have here, and I'm sure as heck not going to waste any more of it thinking about crap like that. I mean, I've had many epiphanies in modern day in the last, say, 4 or 5 years that have, something pops into my head, thoughts and stuff, and I'm totally changing stuff and feeling totally better about where things are going because of that, Little things, goals. I hit a goal and I totally pumped, and that's more so. I'd rather somebody tell me, give me a goal, and then a month later tell me I hit my goal, thank God, and blah blah blah. People in Patreon send me emails and stuff on where they're at, and I like to hear those. Aaron sent me. I don't want to get into too many names. I didn't ask, but somebody sent me one the other day, and it was good to hear because he explained where he was at and the whole works. And I like to know that somebody's advancing in it and stuff like that. So, that's what I get out of this, and that I like that kind of thing. I like to know that somebody advanced it, whether they got the information from me or not. It doesn't matter. It's just the fact that I see where people I start to talk to, and a year or so down the road, they've changed their whole business structure around, and that's good because that's the whole basis of this. I don't know anybody who's doing the same thing right now that they did 20 years ago in reselling. It's all different. I mean, comic book guys can usually keep up it, but there's been some crashes on those two. I used to play in sports cards, but I know some insiders on some sports cards because I had a friend who worked there with like Action Packed and some of the early stuff. But after Comic Ball came out with Nolan Ryan and Reggie Jackson, and what they did at the end, Upper Deck dumped and flooded the market. It crushed me on it. I didn't want to mess with those again. That's my last foray into that junk. But WW2 Collector. Good to have you in. I mess a lot with World War II and before militaria myself. I was just looking at a nice wool shirt from an NOS for those new old stock from World War II just today. Hang on. What's Marty saying up here? I agree. A car is just a mode of transportation, and cash is the only way we buy one. Exactly. Again, for me, it's a necessity. A lot of people, it's like a needed thing, and it's really not. It's a necessity, Royal, my truck runs, but it's falling apart. If it does what it's supposed to do and it's mechanically sound and safe, that's what I worry about. I ride with people who have clunkers, that are loud. Maybe the exhaust has a hole in the tailpipe or the muffler's cracked or something. But mechanically, it's fine other than that, Joe says when listing first class, we've listed 100 and some odd listings were listed before the show, and I don't. There's no issues that I have. Again, it's got to be a regional thing based on a server. I'm sure they have server banks in more than one location, and that would be my guess. And Daryl, same thing. Did I lose where I was at? Am I like way off? No, I think I'm right. But several people are saying it, so there must be some regional downage. I just got a Dr. Seuss print. I like Dr. Seuss. I like some of his more bizarre stuff. I thought about putting a video together on it because a lot of stuff people aren't aware is Dr. Seuss. Game of Treasures, how are you doing? Well, thank you very kindly, Gamer Treasures. Jim Wall, how are you doing this evening? Dr. Seuss print, if it's a signed one, I would have it authenticated before I would ever do anything with the Dr. Seuss. You'll get a far greater amount by doing that. I might even send something like that if it's an authentic one off to, say, Heritage. That's my auction of choice, in all honesty. I've talked about them for years. I've never had a bad experience with Heritage, ever. You know. Stella Rolla. When you're out at an estate sale, do you find yourself making offers or just paying this? I make offers on everything. I always ask, every time. I don't think I've ever just paid what somebody's asked. If I'm getting a bunch, I always ask, if I get a bunch, can I get a better price? I always ask, always. Barter is great, I would always ask. Yeah, I don't mind if they have stickers as long as they're okay with prices. I just don't go to the ones that are strict and won't play around. I know most of the ones around here, and there's some I just don't go to. They price them high, and they try to get top dollar, and then they screw around with the prices over a 3-day time frame, sometimes a lower. I'm not a big fan on those kind of estate sales. Northern Parula, how are you doing? James Fabo, how are you doing? Well, I have that on my list. The tax one's almost done. I do have one on... I think I have a couple on starting a business. At least the things you should do and what you have to worry about doing it. Yeah, I don't care what their prices are. I always ask, will they do better? I don't care where I'm at. I always ask. Always. Asking, that's the number one way to get stuff, is just to ask. Even if stuff isn't for sale or it might not be for sale, I'm going to ask them. And even if they say, no, I don't really want to sell it, I might throw out a high price if it's something that I can make some big money on. And many times they'll say, $100, I'll take it. Even if it's, something they thought they wouldn't sell. You'd be surprised. I ask all the time for anything. That's why I say I'm on the phone a lot these days. You don't even have to go places. Sometimes you can just call and get a lot of that work done from a phone. Far too many people don't do that. I don't drive around random anymore at all, though, either. Four-foot tall print. Yeah, I don't know that print per se. 4 foot, if that's how tall you're saying it is, it's probably more modern. Probably after his death would be my guess, but maybe not. I do have a couple large door-sized posters from the 50s and 60s over here now. So they do show up in big, but limited edition just usually means to me that it's post his death. Not saying it's not going to sell, but most of the best stuff of his is when he was alive. I've had some original stuff by him. We had a signed edition once before. We had it sent off. We got a lot of money for it. It was in a... well, I've talked about book depositories, but we found it in a book depository, a school book depository. Patty Stevens, how are you doing? Good items, postcards, older greeting cards, good people like bidding online without standing with unfriendly bidders. Yeah, I'm always cautious about some of those locally, but you can find a lot of good stuff that way as well, without a doubt. Let me try and get to some more questions here. Get back to where I was. Well, thank you, Bruce. Bruce Brammer, how are you doing? Good, thank you. Yeah, I've been a picker and never realized they're basically a business person since I was like 7. I figured out I could swap out like 3 Star Wars cards for one of mine. They'd give me 3, and I'd give them 1 for one they needed to finish off a set. And I was able to grow my collection really quickly. And then I was able to sell card sets to my friends, like complete sets. Everyone in town was coming to me, well, not in town, in my neighborhood when I was 7, 8, 9, 10. For many years to get cards, and I've been into comics the same way. We used to order from Mile High back in the day, and then I'd sell them sometimes locally for more than I bought them for. They didn't know about Mile High. They never sent off to the ads in the back of the comics and stuff. A lot of people I know. I have the Cindy Crawford first cover that I picked up when it came out. Are you talking about George there, Marty? Hey, there's Dom. I brought you up a little while ago. How you doing this evening, Dom? Of course, Dom, Primetime Treasure Hunter, good friend of the channel. Another channel I would always recommend. Let's see here. Again, if you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. I see we got the little flock of haters in as always. No big deal. I got 172 people up on my end. Let's see here. I found 10 George magazines at an estate sale a few months ago. All sold between 30 and 50 each. Must not have had the big one, or it wasn't up that high back then. There's every year, I'll give you an insider thought here. Every single year, there is a magazine title of some sort that almost always goes out of nowhere from nothing and goes up. Because of current events, a new movie coming out, new comic coming out, or something like that. There's something in that magazine, a cover. Like one of my favorite Life magazines, vintage Life magazines, is the one with Batman flying up on the cover. That's one I've had, I don't know how many copies of that. It's that sort of thing that they fly out of nowhere because it wasn't well collected at one time. Most people didn't even realize that it existed. And once it got around in the comic book and Batman collector world, it's been all over, and that price is skyrocketed. There's a lot of stuff like that. Well, glad to help Tracy, too, on the magazines. Thank you, too, as well, Joe. I've got some tins right here, right now, too. I bought some tins. Again, I keep saying I'm not going to buy stuff, but I end up probably picking up new merchandise probably 3 days a week. I don't really need anything right now, so anyway. There's a whole bunch tied into George. A lot of people think that, what's his name? Kennedy didn't die, he's alive. And there's a whole bunch of nutjob conspiracy theorists on all the stuff in there. In the magazine, it talks about Future, that issue, February 97. I've read it. I went through it, So anyway, but it talks about a pandemic in 2020 and a bunch of interesting topics. And that's why there's a lot of swirl around it in some streams. I don't care. It's money. So, it's just a magazine in my book. Candace Hamill, how are you doing? Thank you again, Tracy. Lauren Day, another one from Australia. There's 3 or 4 people in this house from Australia right now. Yeah, Dom's got it right down there, too. There's more to it than that. It goes into that Kennedy wasn't... He's faked his death. There's like 4 different conspiracy theories in there that are covered. And it all swirls around all that kind of stuff. So that's basically the gist of it. That one's been rising for 7 months. Again, I've been watching it. I just haven't been lucky enough to find that issue. I've found other issues recently even, so they do show up. It was mass produced. It's a higher end one. That's why I say you got to go to the right areas usually to find that stuff. You're not going to find it in like certain areas of town because no one there would have had the money or even would have subscribed to it. So I'll go to the real uppity, ritzy areas of town, those secondhand shops and stuff if you want to find something like that. I talk about this, and most people don't get it, is the demographics of stores. There's certain places I always go because you can get certain things in those areas. It's just a fact. It's the demographics of viewers. This is what TV shows do. I do demographics of the material I'll be looking for. There's a higher probability of me finding certain items in certain areas of town. It's just the way it is. It's just how it is. In every area of town, there's certain things that I can get that are really good in that area. So knowing what your demographics are, who would have collected it, who would have bought it, who would use the item, whatever the item is, it doesn't matter. But those are the key factors I use to determine where I'm going to source when we were sourcing like that. It's a no-brainer for me. The Ninja Picker's got some vintage batteries. The number one place to find vintage batteries is in something right this second. Some old dead flashlight, an old dead radio. Most of the old radios, like the transistor radios, are where I find the most vintage 9-volt batteries. And 9-volt cell are probably the best ones to sell. And they're almost always screwed shut. That's the key. I always take a screwdriver with me. And so if you're out there, open them up. Most people don't. So if they're going to discard an old radio, it doesn't work, there it goes. They don't open them up to take the batteries out. That's where most of the batteries that I find that I sell and get a lot of money for come from, inside of something. If you're not thinking about that, you're missing the whole opportunity right off the bat. If there's a flashlight on the shelf, shake it. Is there something in it? Check the batteries. I'm telling you, batteries sell very well. And people made comments, well, you're not going to find them. There's none hardly on eBay. There's none on eBay because most people don't think batteries are worth anything. That's the answer. That's the answer. If I surveyed 100 people, there may be one who might think that a battery is worth something, unless I show you that they're selling. I learned from years of doing this all those little things that everybody else doesn't think about, because they're all worried about the big, huge bucks, and they don't realize a lot of the stuff they're passing by has hundreds of dollars of value potential. I go to an estate sale, and there's always those that spend the night there or get their hours ahead of time to get the first thing in the door, and there's other ones that they're going there, they want to get these high dollar stuff, and that's their straight sourcing. That's where they're going to, and they miss all this other stuff that's better money than what they're going after. Items with less competition, items that there's less risk on, items that can't be broken, and there's just so many factors. And I've went out with people before. I've taken people out occasionally, and when the pandemic's over, I'll probably get together and do some things like that with some subscribers if somebody's interested, and we'll go to an antique mall and with somebody, and we'll see. I'll show you exactly how this works, because knowing more, having that knowledge is what rules the day, again, at the end. If you want this to be the best job you've ever had, you've got to treat it like it's the most important thing in your life next to your family. That's what's going to do it for you. I don't want to go off too much on 100 million tangents like I always do, but let's pop back down here. Where are we at? Yeah, I'm not sure, Dr. Phil. Good evening. I'm not sure what we're talking about, because I know I'm way behind, so you're probably talking about something I talked about a little while ago. Now, if you add the word Indian in there, you're going to get that warning at the end. Now, if it's like Indian Lake, you've got to use the word in there. I wouldn't use it to describe a person personally. I mean, somebody was in here just said they were Sioux and said that was fine with them. But again, everybody is different. I would just, in my opinion, only use it if it's a necessity. Native American Indian, you could technically use. It would be maybe a little faux pas, but I mean, I don't think anybody's going to go after you as long as you're using Native American first. It's just, in my opinion, courtesy. I know I probably will get hate for saying that, but that's just me. I've worked with people at Disney from all over the world too, so I've learned a lot of things not to say. I know a lot of bad things you would say if you're from Ireland, England, France, Germany, Egypt. I know quite a few not so great words in Egyptian from a gentleman he worked with for, how long? 8 years or so. Guy spoke 7 languages. Probably one of the smartest people I met back in those days. His name was Abdel, and he was a very decent guy. It's a criminal offense to claim an item as Native American if you can't back it up with proof. Yeah, it would be a crime because you're falsely advertising it, and that's deceptive business practices to state it's something. Just like when somebody puts in a title, and this can get you in trouble on eBay, if you put in a title on an item, let's say Nike like, or you throw in a word from something that isn't from that same item you got, trying to attract other people, that could get you in trouble. That could get you a Vero. It could get you dinged. It could be construed as false advertising. Now, I'm not saying there's times when you can get away with that because I've done it in certain situations, but I'm very selective. If it's like a dead stock item or something they don't make or the company's gone or something like that, you can get away with certain things like that. But I'm always very cautious on that. Your feedback, your reputation with eBay is paramount to your business being successful. You don't want to cut off the hand that feeds you, basically, so treat it as a professional business. You're going to have some bad stuff happen. You're going to have some things that make you want to quit, but you just got to work past that. It's a cost of doing business. All these little drawbacks and things that happen to you are a cost of doing business. Plain and simple. There's no other way you should look at it. Do you want to be a businessman, or is some little thing gonna make you want to quit? I hear that all the time. Somebody today told me they're quitting. Right today, just before the show. I understand if you can't make the money and there's not enough stuff to buy or something, you got to make the money somewhere. You may have to do it, but don't just quit because you don't think you can do it, or for many different reasons. People just quit prematurely. I don't give up. I don't give up. I'll just keep up doing it until I figure it out. Lauren Day, I'll write that down when I'm done with the show and maybe put a list together. There is a long list. It's gotten much longer, but I bought a few knives from Native American reservations. When I looked at the blades closely, they all said made in China. You could see that it was probably like a gift shop or something like that. If you go out like Southwest or something, there's some real nice handmade ones out there. There's some real good ones on eBay. They sell the handmade Native American blades, sell for thousands. My sister-in-law went to Alaska and she brought us back a handmade one. The handle is made out of mammoth ivory. I got a certificate and everything. It's legit. You can still sell that with a letter, and I do have a letter for it. So it's a real nice piece, though. I do like knives, pocket knives too. Let's see here. Fantastic Four Stan Lee signed print for maybe too much money, but its limited comps are for double what I paid. Hold your guns on it if it's a good item. That's what I would say. I heard a comment made earlier today. Somebody said, "Well, if you lowered the price, you'd sell a whole bunch more." Well, I'm not looking to sell a whole bunch more. I'm looking to do less work and sell make more money, I should say. I'd rather sell less at a higher price because I'm doing less work and I'm making more money. It's not about selling more. It's about making more money. The amount of sales doesn't mean anything to me. It's how much money I'm bringing to the bottom line. If I sell one item and I'm making $20,000 off that, wow, I'm happy. Who cares if it's only one item? I'd rather do one item at 20,000 than 1,000 items to make that. It's the point. I'm not worried about how much. That's why I'm never impressed when somebody shows me a picture of how many boxes they're going out. My first question is, well, how much did you make? That's all I care about. What does it matter how many packages you sent out? You sent out 100 packages, you probably did more work than me. I only send out 20, 30 on a certain morning sometimes, and I've made thousands of dollars. So what would you rather do, I guess would say? Would you rather send out less items and make more money, or would you just rather send out a whole bunch of items so you could post a picture online? It doesn't do anything to me. I'm not big on social media. I don't post a lot of comments and stuff on there. I'm not trying to impress anybody, and that's... You should be more interested in your business. You should be more interested in understanding everything and how to figure this out, how to do that, where to source. That should be where your time and effort's going to. It's tough love, but that's what needs to be done if you want to be really successful. Nobody's going to give me anything I got. I never was given a dime of what we got. And if I didn't work for it and be this much into it, I wouldn't be here. That's what I write this up to. I don't give up. I'm going to work as hard as I can to get there, and I'm going to keep going at it. I like what I do, though. It's really an honest, enjoyable job. It's the best one I've ever had. There's no other way around it. Nothing comes close to it. Not even a bridge away. It's so far away. Anything that would come close to this, it's non-existent. I'm just going to get to a few more, and we'll probably cut it off here because I said I'd do an hour in my head, and I always just start rambling, talk too much. Thanks, too, for the motivation comment there, Jay Coleman. I will put a taboo video together here. Somebody will probably beat me if they're on here. I got some copycatters out there, and somebody shows me videos of other people. You don't have to do that. If somebody does something, you don't need to send me anything. What other people do is what they do. I don't associate with a lot of other channels, not because I'm trying to be an a-hole or anything. I just don't have time, and a lot of people are just trying to get your money and stuff, and I just don't like that. I'm not going to criticize them because it's not my place, but I don't respect a lot of channels. There's a lot of channels that aren't deserving of respect personally. There's a lot of good channels though. Now, Bob, you said you tried to list that. You said they flagged it. Did they tell you before you listed it with a warning at the bottom of the page saying the word Indian and stuff? Because there's a warning that comes up. All you got to do is hit the list anyway, and you can go on. If they flagged it after the listing and try to ding your account, you can fight that one because that's the name of a place. If it's a legit name of a place, you technically, by what I read on eBay's user agreement, are allowed to use it. I've called them even on that. So if you got dinged, I would fight that one. If it happened before you actually listed it, you just hit yes, you still want to list it anyway, and off you go. I get those little warnings at the bottom all the time. I have to point those out to employees here quite often too. Yeah, Rick Hood, functionality rules, in my opinion. Thomas Klein, I've used both, and I'm going to get back into InkFrog and Shopify. Shopify, I'm far more impressed with than Sellbrite for ease and headache-ness. I've got a lot of items. The problem with that, Thomas, is it depends on how many items you have. If I started doing what I'm doing now with like Sellbrite and wouldn't have to worry about all these different categories and stuff, I'd be fine. But when you have tens of thousands of items up, which we've got tens of thousands of items up, we're heading towards the million mark in just the store I share with you of inventory on that one. I've got, I don't know, $2 or $3 million worth of inventory up across all of our platforms. But once you get to a certain level, it's a nightmare trying to sync categories from one platform to the other when you're cross-listing using, say, InkFrog to Shopify or just Sellbrite. So you're going eBay, Sellbrite, and then using Sellbrite as your carrier to the other channels like Amazon or whatever. It's the category is the problem with those. Vintage categories are not aligned and not set up on any of the I shouldn't say not set up. They're not. Amazon has no way for an API to go into there and post items to categories that are usually blocked to most people. So when I have to upload, whether Sellbrite or Shopify, I have to upload a CSV file. I cannot auto-sync through the platforms, any of them, into those categories because they're gated categories. Most people aren't ungated in collectibles on Amazon like we are. Most people aren't in the entertainment section like we are. Most people can't sell a lot of the used items and used video games and records like we can. We can do advertising in the collectibles as well. And none of that I can use on Sellbrite. I would have to go in and manually do it anyway and then come back around and link them to the listing, so then they would fall. There's a lot to it, and if you've got tens of thousands of listings and you've got to manually upload them through a CSV file, it takes time. And then even once they're up, you've got to go through one by one and match one listing from your Sellbrite page to Amazon so that the Sellbrite one syncs from eBay to the Amazon. There's a lot to it. Let's just put it that way. If you're selling just a handful of items, Sellbrite works fine as well. Again, but mass quantity, massive different categories is where it kills. If like InkFrog, if you only want to hook up with eBay to InkFrog and don't care about having a landing platform of any kind, you can get InkFrog, and they have an option where you don't have to go to Shopify. You can do InkFrog, or eBay to InkFrog, and InkFrog to Amazon, or eBay to InkFrog and InkFrog to Shopify. Another question I get into that is, why would you even need InkFrog if Shopify has an API for eBay and one for Amazon? Because with Shopify or any other API, including the one on Sellbrite, you cannot do best offer. The API from eBay is not set up for best offer. Best offer is a large chunk, 65-70% of the stuff we sell is on best offer. So this is stuff you got to know, and they don't tell you that until you signed up for it. So be cautious on all those services. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying you got to know more before you sign up. Read up everything. Watch all their videos. I've spent months digging into whatever I can cross-list the best, because the minute, I get going, I've got, tens of thousands of listings I can have a huge more market for on different platforms when I do stuff like that. So anyway, I'm just going to get one more here. Jerry said the same thing on the words. Let's see here. Yeah, thanks and the like, but I'm terrible on that. Jessica Majors. Yeah, the people with there's somebody who doesn't watch my videos and makes it a habit to do the thumbs up. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. They don't have a clue, because on the back, when you look at your videos from my end in the studio on YouTube, you don't even see whether they're liked or not. You just have like numbers. They don't show you dislikes or likes on it. It's not even a factor. I never even look unless I'm on a live show. I have no idea what the percentages of likes versus dislikes on any of my videos other than my live show, and only because I'm looking at it. Making sure the comments coming in. So it's pointless. That's something they're wasting their time. It's like Spite or somebody. I don't worry about that. It's a waste of my time. Every single minute I can do in doing this business is what I do. If I'm not, these days I do a lot of writing. I've got, books and stuff we're working on. I'd rather spend my time doing this stuff here. So anyway. Let me just get to one more question, and we will let it go. Yeah, Kathy, as long as I stay housed and I have food, I'm golden. Everything else goes back into the business. Same thing here. I don't care about the rest. Thank you, Chris M. Yeah, and again, thank you both, Matt and Daryl, for the super chats. Mr. Wonderful flashes the watches because he is a nutso on collectible watches. He recommends investment in them. I don't think he owns any stock in the ones that he does, because he would have to divulge that with the user agreement on YouTube. If he's doing it as paid promotion, he would have to acknowledge that to some extent. I know he's a watch guy, and he orders special bands for his watches, red ones from a specific company. I mean, I paid attention just to see. I watch videos like that to see how they're pushing advertisements in there. Not for me to do it, because I'm not an advertiser like that. I don't push my stuff, as everybody knows. I mean, I got shirts. I don't think I've brought up the fact that I have shirts forever. I did new designs, and I've never even cranked them out to the platform here as well. Yeah, see, I talk about it, and then I get more thumbs down. That's their call. Whatever people want to do, it's not going to hurt me. It doesn't show up on my end at all. Obviously, I'd rather have likes, but whatever. It doesn't affect anything on my end. It doesn't hurt my revenue. It doesn't hurt my standing. It doesn't hurt my rating. It doesn't hurt any of that on there. Whether it's all engagement. YouTube is all about engagement, and good and bad is still engagement with what you do. Just FYI. Yeah, I'll end it off with this one here, but Daryl says he buys fishing lures, and I know he does, because he's recommended some really good lure books to be able to price them and all. Daryl gave me a good one on one of the posts here, but they send him in a bubble wrap, bubble mailer with fishing lures. And the biggest problem, when I send out a fishing lure, it's in a crush-proof container, because if somebody steps on that with the bubble mailer, you can bend and smash up the hooks, and you can do all kinds of damage to it, or you could hurt somebody even with that case. So I mail them special, just like if I send like a fountain pen or something like that. I always take extra precaution with everything. They go in a box. You know, if I'm sending out a $50 lure, I'm going to put it in a box. You know, I got the 4x6 boxes from eBay. They weigh 3 ounces with a lure. It's first class. It's the cheapest first class. It's the same price as sending in a postcard. Why wouldn't you do that? I mean, it makes no sense. We'll let it go at that. I know I've talked forever tonight. I do apologize for rambling. Hopefully everybody did enjoy it. If you didn't hit the like button now, or as of yet, please hit the like button. We're over 180 in-house, 150 plus on the likes, so that's pretty darn good for today. Hopefully you got something out of it. I've got another video of something interesting coming out tomorrow. Patreon, I will have a live show on Sunday. I will still have another video up either tomorrow or Saturday. So you'll still have a live show Sunday for Patreon, and then one more video up this week, I do believe. I know it's done. I just don't I should keep my notes handy so I can give you the correct information, but it should be up tomorrow or Saturday on that one. Again, thank everybody for coming on. Thank you for all the support. And again, have a good day. I will be back next week. I'm going to have interviews for the next couple weeks on Thursday with some folks here. So people that, you know, I feel are worth it. People that I think are sincere, honest, and respectable. So anyway, that's the plans for the next couple of Thursdays. Live shows as well, though, but we'll have some interesting content. You'll get to see some views on other things, and we're going to talk about volume on one of them as well, too, and working up to the 1 million mark, because that's what everybody would like to do. 1 million in sales is a good mark to hit. Doesn't mean you're going to make 1 million. It means you're selling 1 million. So millionaire, eBay Millionaires Club, I guess we can call it on that one. But I thank you all for coming on, and I hope you have a good evening.